Josh Pate. He is one of the best out there in terms of college football analysis. He had a take, though, that I want to go over because I think that it is, how do I say this? As smart as he is, I think is a little bit uninformed. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football back at it again. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be updated on all things college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, NFL draft, anything related to American football, hit the red subscribe button. You'll not be disappointed. Also hit the like button too. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I am so damn tired of these narratives, and unfortunately, it's a situation where perception becomes reality, even if perception is wrong. We're going to get into that in a minute here. I want to make sure I go over something because there is increasingly more and more of chatter here between a Power 2 breakaway from the Power 5, a Power 5 breakaway from the Group of 5, FBS. There's a ton of talking about breaking away here. I think I am going to definitively argue that, especially in the last 5 years, there's a lot of worries here that kind of need to be eliminated in terms of the consciousness of our minds. We need to get rid of them right now. Some of those arguments come from one of, if not the most respected names in college football. And again, you might say, oh, Joel Klatt, you might say this guy, that guy. But I'm telling you right here, right now, for all of you on YouTube who've discovered me, I know you know who Josh Pate is. Josh Pate, he is one of the best out there in terms of college football analysis. He had a take, though, that I want to go over because I think that it is, how do I say this? As smart as he is, I think is a little bit uninformed. I'm going to go through that why in a second here. First of all, let's get into what we're talking about. So coming over here, and I'm going to include this link in the channel description here. You're going to have this here, playoff expansion details. He says he's got some flaws in the expanded playoff format, and he has said himself he is not necessarily a big fan of that. Now, he argues this. In addition to that, one of my most respected people I follow on Twitter also has issues with the college football expanded playoff. So anybody out there, I'm telling you, Genetics 56, Big Ten information, college football fan, he does a fantastic job with college football. I'm going to include this link in the description too. He says right here, the problem with the sixth highest ranked conference champion auto bid is when it was agreed to, USC-UCLA did not move, or it wasn't announced yet. It will dilute the playoff with bad matchups that are bad for TV and the enjoyment of elite competition. I'm going to explain here why both of those arguments there, and again, I'm actually going to include some of Josh Pate's particular things that he says, and I'm going to include not only my rebuttals, but evidence as to why they are wrong. Let's get into some of those quotes real quick. So here we are, that video there. Again, I'm not going to play it live. Go check it out for yourself. Like I said, he does a really great job. But some of the quotes and paraphrases that he had here, I didn't like the selection process. I'm not for auto bids. We should not use the moniker Power 5. These 5 are not roughly similar. Weak Pac-12, losing USC-UCLA, backfilling with San Diego State, is backfilling with subpar teams. 6 auto bids is a joke. It will be the tournament for the sake of inclusion. The entire tournament here, the entire tournament is the sake for inclusion. How can you look at all conference champs as legitimately equal or close to equal? We're going to address that. I think it's trash. We would have been more okay with a playoff with the top 12 teams than auto bids. This next slide here, I'm going to include some of his big arguments and some of my rebuttals, and then I'm going to give my justification for why. So Josh's arguments here are on the left. Mine are over here on the right. First argument he has, auto bids only make sense if they are somewhat in the same competitive realm. My argument, they already are. Number 2, there is a large gulf between the SEC and Big Ten and the rest of the P5 in media rights and draft picks. My argument, there is not a large gulf in league champion rankings. His argument over here on the left, any conference champ worth their salt is already ranked in the top 12. And my argument, again, they already are. So I'm going to go through the methodology for my arguments. I'm going to use these past 5 seasons here, minus the 2020 season, because some people played, it's just all over the place there. So again, we're going to use 2022, 2021, 2019, 18, and 17 as our justification here. We're going to go through the 6 highest rated conference champions heading into that last week. So before seeding kind of happened there, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, SEC, and the G5. We're also going to go through the other 6 teams, the teams left out if seeded only on ranking. We're going to go over the conference championship subs if USC, UCLA, OU, and Texas were to win the league that year. Again, we're talking about the future here, and USC, UCLA, OU, and UT are not going to be in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12. They're going to be in the Big 10 and the SEC. We're also going to make sure that we talk about the highest G5 not named: Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF, because again, we have to justify this here in that, all of those teams are going to the Big 12. They are no longer G5 teams. We're talking about the top 6 highest rated conference champions. They are going to be included. These teams here will not be available to be those in the future because they are going to be in one of the Power 5 leagues, so to say. And then also we're going to go through the top 4 teams without a bye. Reason why we're going to do that there, we want to make sure we can see, okay, how many people is this going to actually affect? The new changes to the 6 auto bids, who's going to be most affected? What's the worst matchup we're going to get, and everything kind of like that. We're going to go through those arguments really quickly here. So in 2022, what happened here? So again, our 6 highest rated conference champions: ACC number 7 Clemson, Big 12 number 9 Kansas State, Big 10 number 2 Michigan, Pac-12 number 8 Utah, SEC number 1 Georgia, and G5 was number 16 Tulane. The other 6 teams were number 3 TCU, number 4 Ohio State, number 5 Alabama, 6 Tennessee, 10 USC, and 11 Penn State. So teams left out if seeded on ranking only. So again, he talked about top 12, who would get left out in that situation. Number 12 Washington would. Conference championship sub if USC, UCLA, OU, and Texas win the league. None of them did. Highest G5 not named: Houston, BYU, UCF, and Cincinnati. Number 16 Tulane. And the top 4 teams without a bye: number 3 TCU and number 4 Ohio State. So in this instance here, more than likely what would happen is that TCU would host number 16 Tulane, and then Ohio State would host number 11 Penn State. That's your first round. We go through 2021. We see ACC number 12 Pitt, Big 12 number 7 Baylor, Big 10 number 2 Michigan, Pac-12 number 11 Utah, SEC number 1 Alabama, G5 number 4 Cincinnati. Other teams: number 3 Georgia, number 5 Notre Dame, number 6 Ohio State, number 8 Ole Miss, number 9 Oklahoma State, number 10 Michigan State. Teams left out if seeded on ranking only: nobody. Okay, conference championship sub if USC, UCLA, OU, and Texas win the league. Nobody. Highest G5 not named: Houston, BYU, UCF. It would be San Diego State. And again, this was ranked before the conference title game. They had a bunch of COVID suspensions and this, that. They're actually 12-1 at that point. They were 11-1 at that point. But if it wasn't them, it would have been number 23 Louisiana, ranked after conference title game. And the top 4 teams without a bye, because they're not a conference champion, would be number 3 Georgia. So again, first week of the CFP, it would be number 3 Georgia hosting number 23 Louisiana. We go to 2019, 6 highest rated conference championships. It would be number 3 Clemson at the ACC, Big 12 number 4 Oklahoma, Big 10 number 2 Ohio State, Pac-12 number 6 Oregon, SEC number 1 LSU, G5 number 17 Memphis. Other 6 teams: 5 Georgia, 7 Baylor, 8 Wisconsin, 9 Florida, 10 Penn State, and 11 Utah. Teams left out if seeded on ranking only would be the number 12 Auburn Tigers. Conference championship sub if USC, UCLA, OU, or Texas win the league. In this instance, Oklahoma won league. It would be number 7 Baylor would be substituted in there. Now, I know they're already listed off, but I'm basically saying that's what you're talking about. The league champion would be number 7 Baylor. Highest G5 not named: Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, and UCF would be number 17 Memphis. And top 4 teams without a bye, that would be nobody. We go through 2018. Again, 6 highest rated conference champions here. Number 2 Clemson, ACC. Big 12, number 4 Oklahoma, Big 10, number 6 Ohio State, Pac-12, number 9 Washington, SEC number 1 Alabama, G5 number 8 UCF. Other 6 teams: number 3 Notre Dame, number 5 Georgia, number 7 Michigan, number 11 Florida, number 10 Florida, number 11 LSU, and number 12 Penn State. Teams left out if seeded on ranking only would be nobody. Conference championship if USC, UCLA, OU, or Texas win the league that year. OU and Texas played the conference championship, so West Virginia, number 16, would sub in. The highest G5 not named: Houston, BYU, Cincinnati, UCF would be number 21 Fresno State, and the top 4 team without a bye would be Notre Dame. So again, that would be a situation where potentially here LSU and Penn State would be out, Fresno State and West Virginia would be in. Number 3 Notre Dame would host Fresno State round 1. And again, last item here we're going to go through would be 2017. Okay, I went through my 5 years. This is the 5th year here. Again, ACC number 1 Clemson, Big 12 number 2 Oklahoma, Big 10 number 5 Ohio State, Pac-12 number 8 USC, SEC number 3 Georgia, G5 number 12 UCF. And then the other 6 teams: number 4 Alabama, number 6 Wisconsin, number 7 Auburn, number 9 Penn State, number 10 Miami, and number 11 Washington. Teams left out if seeded on ranking only would be nobody. Conference champ sub if USC, UCLA, OU, or Texas wins the league. Again, number 11 TCU in the Big 12 and number 12 Stanford in the Pac-12. Highest G5 team not named Houston, BYU, Cincy, or UCF would be number 20 Memphis, and the top 14 without a bye would be Alabama. So again, in this instance, Alabama would host Memphis round 1 of the CFP. So you see from the evidence there of the past 5 years on, including 2020, there's just a bunch of hullabaloo about nothing here. We are arguing about diluting the CFP by a week 1 matchup where a top team gets to host a G5 team. That's what we're complaining about. Oh, it's diluting it. Oh, there's nothing we could do. Oh, it's ruining the product. Man, shut up, okay? You and I both know. And again, I love Pate. I love my boy Gen X 56. I love what they do. But if that is the argument, we're diluting the product. No, that is 100% false. And again, here's the deal. There's something like 70, 80 G5 teams that get 1 spot. There's, up between the ACC Pac-12 and the Big 12, there's 50-ish teams or something like that. Again, they get 3, maybe 4 spots every once in a while. The Big 10, the SEC take up the rest of them there. Okay, all they're asking for is scraps here. We want to make sure college football still has national interest. The more that it can take the good things from the NCAA tournament in basketball, the better it can be. And again, we see the fact that more than likely that week 1 matchup, Louisiana is going to lose to Georgia. Memphis is going to lose to Alabama, things like that. But you never know. I'm telling you right now, you just never know. And I would rather have them included, even if, like I said, I apologize. More than likely, we're going to be screwing over the number 12 team in the country, or maybe every once in a while, the number 11 team in the country. But more often than not, the teams that are in the CFP, based on the current, seeding situation, it's legit. Now, I wanted to make sure I give credit here where credit is due. There are limitations of my arguments here. Right now, these arguments that I have based on what we've done operates without assuming more conference realignment, and everybody knows there's going to be more conference realignment. However, again, I believe Josh will eventually be right, but he is at least until the ACC deal expires, until anything substantial will happen. That's going to be roughly the mid-2030s. I know some people might say, hey man, they were talking about, Florida State's going to do this, they're going to do that. Until I see it, I'm not going to talk about that. Okay, I've talked about it before, and it's fun, but that's the speculation zone, and I don't want to do anything like that. Again, another limitation of my arguments here does not factor in rankings from playing USC, UCLA, or UNT Texas in the conference they played in each of those seasons. Again, that we're splitting hairs there where you beat USC, you beat, OU, you beat Texas, so you're higher ranked, blah, blah, blah. If they're not in there for you to play and beat, would you not be as highly ranked? I don't really know there. That's splitting hairs there. And then also here, just to make sure I give credence to Josh where he's right, there is a discrepancy between the number of CFP participants. The gulf in terms of the SEC and the Big Ten versus everybody else is true in terms of media rights negotiations. It is true in terms of college football players drafted, and is true in terms of teams that will be in the 12-team playoff. However, the tops of the Big 12, the tops of the ACC, and the tops of the Pac-12 at this time are more than capable of playing and being competitive with, maybe not necessarily the top, but the second and third best team in those at the SEC and Big Ten, for sure, not a question. Like I said, the league champs are still typically the top 12 teams. So again, this entire argument I'm having against what Josh is saying, basically saying that the CFP needs to be just the top 12 teams, screw the auto bids. I'm telling you right now, I believe that is a short-sighted view. I think it's a long-sighted in what's going to happen, but it's short-sighted in terms of if you actually just turn it into the SEC versus the Big Ten. I really think that you're shortchanging how good Pitts and the Utahs and the Baylors are in the world. I really believe that. And let me know whether or not you agree with it or not. I'm telling you right now, I believe we're not going to miss much if we give 6 auto bids. It might screw over the number 11 and the number 12 team every once in a while, but for the most part, if you're in the top 10, you have nothing to worry about in this situation. All right, guys, get in the comments right now. What do you think of my arguments? Do you like him? Do you not? Get in the comments right now and let me know. But beyond that, guys, that's it for me. I will see you guys later. I am out.